So, what is political theory? Well, for starters, political theory is a subfield of both the discipline of philosophy and political science. Well, we can say that even political science itself basically started with philosophy, and that is the reason why we say that Socrates, or Plato perhaps, is the first political scientist because they were the first people to basically systematically study politics and government. And so, on the side of philosophy, well, of course, when we talk about philosophy, we're talking about the pursuit of truth, right? The major subfields of philosophy, you have the discipline of epistemology, metaphysics, ethics, and logic. But there are other sub-disciplines or subfields of philosophy, like philosophy of the mind, philosophy of action, and political philosophy. Political philosophy is basically what we call in political science as political theory. So they're just basically the same. When we talk about political science as a discipline, as I've told you, political science, when it started by the classical Greek thinkers like Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle, it was not really different from philosophy, or it was not separated from philosophy. As a matter of fact, when classical Greek thinkers conceptualize politics, it's always a part of ethics. It's always a part of metaphysics. It's always a part of moral philosophy. So, ethics and political science for classical Greek thinkers is basically intertwined. They cannot be separated. Because when we talk about politics, certainly we're talking about society. And when we talk about society, it's impossible for us not to talk about individual people. And vice versa. When we are talking about individual people, it's impossible for us not to talk about the society. And so, philosophical discussions on the individual, the inner life of the individual, is not really far off from the political. As a matter of fact, as I've said, they are completely intertwined. Now, when political science developed as a modern discipline, like of course we have different subfields in political science, like comparative politics, like political research, like international relations, like public administration, and of course, political theory. Political theory is a major subfield of political science, and we have said that, as a matter of fact, political science started with political philosophy or political theory. Now, what are the questions that it tries to answer? It tries to answer questions about the best form of government. It tries to ask questions about how do we define good citizenship. It also entertained questions about political leadership. Who is the leader who is fit to rule us? Or it also answered questions, why should we follow such a leader? Or why should we follow such a government? Or why is tyranny evil? Why is democracy better? Why is aristocracy better compared to tyranny or dictatorship? These are the things that political theory tries to answer. So there are ramifications of questions that we can ask when we are talking about political theory. Now, as we have said, political theory is a major subdiscipline of political science. Now, right now, when we talk about political science, most of the things that come to mind is that political science is a science. Political science is basically, through and through about research. Political theory, on the other hand, cannot simply be considered as science, well, at least in the modern sense of what is science. Political theory most likely is on the humanistic side of political science. Because political science itself is a messy discipline. Messy discipline in the sense that there are a lot of ways to look at how we can systematically study politics and government and even public administration and law. Now, any kind of systematic study of this is basically a part of political science. Political theory may not involve scientific methodologies, well, at least in the modern sense of the word. But nevertheless, it is still political science because it still involves a systematic study of politics and government. Political theory also tries to talk about how things work, or shall we say, how does politics work, right? What are the inner workings of politics? What's the structure of politics? How do we distribute power within the society? Or who are these people who can legitimately wield political power? Right? That's how basically politics work. And when we talk about that, it is imperative for us to make mention that political theory is also a study about regimes. Of course, we know political theory is tries to provide a deep discourse about politics and government. But to be more precise, what we are actually studying are regimes in its broadest sense. What do we mean by regimes? Well, basically, it means how politics is being done. The inner workings of politics within the society. Right? That's what a regime is. It basically tells us what are the pros and cons of dictatorships, what are the pros and cons of aristocratic regimes, what are the pros and cons of monarchical regimes, or what are the pros and cons of a democracy, right? Because these are regimes, right? The Greek word for it is polytheia, and it's very broad in its sense. Everything political happening within the society is actually a part of the regime. How people think, well, some people think that dictatorship works very well for them. Some people think that dictatorship is evil, that we must have freedom, that democracy is basically the proper way to do governance. So these are basically regimes. How we look at the best form of regimes is basically a part of our cultural education, right? How we see things, our worldview, our moral calculus, what is right and what is wrong for us, and all these things basically makes up the regime. And in political theory, we study this. We systematically analyze the best form of regime for us. And what are the alternatives? How can we compare them? How can we compare and contrast them? Things like that. Now, political theory is also the study of political thinkers. And most of the time, this is actually the approach of teachers of political theory. They basically, try to look at different questions about regimes, about the best form of government, about citizenship, through the lenses of different political thinkers, political philosophers. Examples of this is, of course, in the classical Greek period, you have Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. During the Christian era, you have St. Augustine and St. Thomas Aquinas. During the Roman period, you have guys like Cicero and Marcus Aurelius. During early modern, you have Machiavelli, the social contract thinkers, Hobbes, Locke, and Rousseau. You have Montesquieu, you have Alexis de Tocqueville, you have Karl Marx, you have Adam Smith. More recent political thinkers, you have guys like John Rawls, Amartya Sen, Hannah Arendt, Dworkin, and all these guys. Okay, so these are political thinkers, and they have embarked a journey on how to unravel the mysteries of political regimes. And so they basically develop a systematic way of looking, explaining, understanding, evaluating, and analyzing political regimes. And we study this. We study them in political theory. And of course, all these things could be inconsequential if we will not be able to relate all these political theories that we are encountering with what is happening right now, with what is happening in our political realities right now. Political theory tells us about a good description of politics as how it is being practiced. Meaning to say, the what is of politics, the actual political reality of politics. But it does not stop there. Political theory also informs us of what is ought to be, or what should be, what is the better kind of politics, or shall we say, what is the best kind of politics. This is so because we are not just observing, we are also carefully, systematically analyzing and evaluating what is happening within our political reality. And with this, we become capable of providing an insight on what should be better done, or what is ought to be, how politics should be practiced, the kind of politics that is the best for all of us.